Now we're going to be taking a look at the articulation section, but before we get onto that, I want you to note the different colors down here on the keyboard. Now, all these signify are the different sections related to the ensemble: the tubas, the trombones, the horns, and the trumpets. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not only because it's very useful, but because before, in the string ensemble video, we noted that the colored keys were the key switches for the different articulations. So I don't want you to get those mixed up, just in case you do. So let's start with the first articulation, which is sustain. Sustain has a couple of simple alternatives. It has legato, which allows two notes to play continuously into one another. If you have duet selected, two brass instruments will play at the same time, but only two maximum. The response dictates how long it takes for one note to get to the other, a portamento or glide, if you will. When the response is all the way up, it's straight to the note. If the response is down, it does feel a little more natural and it kind of swings into it ever so slightly. So let's have a listen to this in duet. Notice how when I moved up to the green, it actually played a third note, the green being the horns. Now, the reason why it was playing more than two at the same time is because the duet only refers to each section, so it'll only be two per section. So in essence, you could have 2, 4, 6, 8 different instruments playing at once, even on legato. You'll notice that in solo mode, it only plays one instrument at a time per section. The flip switches between precise note changes, so it doesn't slur into them, it doesn't try and legato it. It quickly changes, almost in a staccato-like fashion. The other articulations can either be changed through these dots up here or via the key switches, so you can change it via your keyboard or on screen, totally up to you. Let's have a look at some of the others. Staccato. Now, if you watch the string ensemble video, you'll remember that the round robin basically means that it won't play the same sample twice, 3 times, or in this case, 8 times. So there's 8 different samples of the horn playing in staccato, so you don't get that weird repeated note that sounds really unnatural. Every single one is played ever so slightly differently. Next, we have blast, and what's cool about these expression style articulations is you basically see the volume ADSR, the attack, decay, sustain, release. Check it out. So we can see that it starts at quite a high volume and then dies out quite quickly, and this gives us a good indication as to how it's going to sound before we even play it. So this one's called blast, and let's play that with a few more notes. Really, really nice there. Then we have decrescendo, which is much smoother, again starting at a high volume and then slowly making its way down to nothing. We can really hear the motion doing some work there in that pitch modulation. Let's pull that back down. Next we have sforzando, so quite loud initially, down to a quieter tone, then up again, and then smoothly down. Now for any of these articulations, they do have a repetition option, so that will repeat the first section twice. And we can change how many times it repeats and the speed, and this varies depending on the expressioned articulation. We have crescendo. Swell, which is a faster crescendo but takes longer to die out in volume. Probably one of my favorites out of all of them. And then staccato. Staccato velocity is different from the other staccato because as you increase the velocity in this one, what happens is it increases the dynamics. Therefore, the lower the velocity, the less instruments are playing. The higher the velocity, the more instruments are playing. It's essentially this dynamic style moving up and down. So down when you're playing softer and up when you're playing harder. So not only does the volume increase, but the amount of instruments playing increases also, making it that much more dramatic. Okay, in the next video we're going to be taking a look at the mixer section.